the DB integration. I think there was, you see here, this is the difference there. The URL itself changes when you change the database. The database itself, obviously, right? You are connecting to a completely different DB. So if you do Pega DB_1 here on the URL, which is the DB that we created, if you take a look at the actual query there, this is the one here. This is the query here, and it says, see here, the database is create database Pega DB_1. So this new or this changed DB name has to be put on the JDBC URL here. And once we do that, and then you just have to take a look at the DB table here, give the database name here with the database instance, which is I've put MySQL, and I've given the schema name is public and table name is sample table. Now I just click on test connectivity, and you see here it says that it's all fine, right? Now then what you need to do is if you just run a new case, yeah, you see the case is created all fine. Now we will just take a look at the DB on that particular table as to how the database instance looks like, the DB and the entry in the database table looks like. So let's open the DB IDE. So that you can find under the personal edition installation folder under PG SQL bin and then PG admin 3. So give me a second here. I'm just opening that. This is the one. You double click on this one. Then Pega DB_1 is public. You see it has just only one table. You click on this and then we see view data, say view top 100 rows, and you see here this is entry. So it says C-53. So if you take a look at it here, it says here C-53. So now the case is created in a completely new DB table altogether. And that's something that you can do, but otherwise now you can just revert back the change. So the earlier one was Pega data, and if you see here, the table name was, yeah. If you take a look at this is a database table instance, and it is not a rule. Because of that reason, you will not have a check-in, check-out option or any of that sort here. You can just change the DB instance and the rule set associated with this one just by changing it here, the associated rule set. The reason this associated rule set exists is primarily so that you can have a proper application associated rule set stack here. So you just click on edit and it shows you the rule set here in terms of showing the associated rule set here. So you can just use it here, bring it up, give the associated rule set list here or the name of the rule set, and it would just directly show up in the when you create the product rule. That's the use of having this associated rule set here. But the way if you just remove this as well, you see here it shows no associated rule set. So a rule set is not a mandatory thing for a database instance, but if you do that, then it becomes easy for you when the admin creates a product rule. to migrate the things to a different environment, it becomes a lot more easier. Alright, now we will just change the table name to table name, I think was this is the one. Say the schema name is personalization. And now we click on test connectivity, and yes, see, let's map to table personalization dot pc 𝐏𝐸 on Dropbox. Alright, so we are done with the integration here. Now the other thing that we wanted to take a look at is how we can have a privilege and access. So the first exercise that we ought to do here is, see here, question. It says having the database table instance associated with the rule set is the only way to include the instance in product to export to other environments. Yes, that is not the only way. If you give for any data instance for that matter, if you show the associated instance, if you show it here like or associated rule set to it, then it automatically gets included in the product rule if you checkbox the option called as include associated rule data. So say for example, if you open a product rule here, let me open an existing product rule. So say let's open an existing product rule. Right, so if you see here, you can give the rule sets to include here, and you see here include associated data. So if you checkbox this automatically brings up all the data instances in the associated list. Now if you don't include it otherwise, then you have to come and explicitly hardcode the key here, like the way here it says data admin db class group something, or data admin db table, or like this. You have to come and explicitly give the key here. So associating a rule set is a good practice because that ensures that you don't forget it. But if you do forget, if you that's not the only way to do it, you can come and explicitly give it here under the keys. Right? I hope the doubt is cleared. Alright, so the next thing here is, now let's take a look at the security here. So first thing here is the first thing is only operators with certain privileges can create the claim insurance case. So let's come here, let's take a look at under the cases. If you open the car insurance claim case here, you need to click on action and you need to click on open here. Now this is the case type rule, as we already know. Now on this case type rule we have something called as py start case, which is the primary case rule for our application, for our car insurance claim. Okay, so which is like the starting or the first flow. So I think we already touched upon this earlier, but yeah, just to re-emphasize, this is the primary or the first touch point for the case. And now if you want to look at the security here, you click on the process tab, and then you can see here a security, right? So they've given a privilege class already by default, which is at the framework level, and you can give the privilege name here. So let's create a new privilege. Call this can create 𝐶𝐶laim. Let's click on the magnifying glass here. It's going to create the privilege. So consider privilege more like a token, and this also is in the same 𝐶𝐶laim case. Right. So currently, if you see it, there is no role associated with this. Okay. So now, till now, we were able to see. If I click on create here, okay, it should be in the framework rule set. So I will say specialized by class or rule set. So I will select crossing app FW here, and then I will create it here. And because framework is at one level below it, that is the reason. If you see here, the PY start case is in process FW, and you create the privilege on a rule set which is above that, then it gives you this error. Okay, mind you, you will keep getting this error in real projects as well. So we try to understand why it comes. So here it came because the process FW is a rule set, and this process FW is at one level below process app. So let's remove, I will say move to process app FW. Right. So now I save this. Should just allow me to save without any trouble. Yeah, see. Right now, yeah. So now, if you click on create here, you see it now. It shows no case types defined. Till now, until now, always we could create the case directly here. Okay, and if you see here again, come here to the car insurance claim. You click on run, and you see here unable to authorize a flow execution PY start case. So essentially, there's no way for you to create the case now. If you go on again, yeah, so see here it doesn't allow you to create it at all. Alright, now so as of now, if you take a look at this privilege, there is no role associated with this privilege now. So in order to associate a role with the privilege, we can just click on this access group. Remember, if you take a look at this image here, a theory portion. So you have operator ID, access group, and then you have the application. And again, to the access group, we have role, which is access of role to object, and we see what is to the access we have. So we have a role, okay, called as process app :administrator. So you click on the magnifying glass here, you open the role. Now if you take a look at our privilege, the privilege is associated with the class 𝐬𝐯FW process FW work-𝐶𝐶laim. So now you open this access role, and you see here, you see this privilege already, this class already is there for our admin of confidential files privilege. So now all that you need to come here is come and add it here. Can just click on here. Can I think it's not just at FW work level. We have to create it at process FW-work-𝐶𝐶laim level. Okay. So I will give all access to this one here. Now I can add a privilege here. Can create 𝐂𝐸𝐿 case. Now we give a level 5 here. Click submit. Right. Now the admin can create the keys. Now if I just click on this create here, I think I just need to probably log off and log in once. And if you carefully now take a look at this privilege here and you refresh it, you can see that it will be associated to process app :administrator. And I think it didn't. Can create 𝐶TM case. See it? Now the access role is coming here. Right? Now you just click on create, and you see now it's available here. Now can start car insurance claim. Right? So if you just run it now, there will be no trouble. See, it allows you to create it without any hiccup. Now, similarly, we can give this to another set of operators. Say, for example, organization operator ID. The same approach just needs to be followed there as well. So not much different, just that see a data entry 1 and 2, and if you carefully observe all these investigators and data entry guys are all pointed to processing app :users. So we will change that. Okay, this processing app :users, we will change that to give them a new access group. So what I will do is processing app, or I will say data entry users. Okay, so I will say I'll open first this processing app :users, and what I will do is I will save as this. Okay, so create. Let's say data entry users. Now I will give processing app : data entry users. Let's put create and open here, and I have to create a new access role as well. Right? Or the better way here is to open the existing one and or create a new one here. So make sure you have the identifier also set here, process app : data entry users. So create and open, and if you just save this here, and you have this option called as clone from. So this is the data entry users is a new one. So all that you do here is, in order to why did it create an 𝐴𝐼GI prod? I think I made a mistake there. It shouldn't be an 𝐴𝐼GI prod. It should be in processing app level. Wrong rule set. Click on the magnifying glass again. And let's say processing app. I think no, I did not change the ID. Make sure you change the ID to have that semicolon there between your application name and data and your access role name. Not a mandatory thing, but a good practice to follow. Okay. Now here, this option called as so what I'm going to do is I'm going to clone everything from process app :users. Okay, so and it will just copy everything. Currently it has, if you see it has no access class here, but what we have done is we are going to copy the whole thing into this process app :users, process app :data entry users, right? So, and you see it has copied everything. Now what we will do is we will add the privilege called as can create 𝐶_claim. Okay, so 𝐸𝐸𝐹W. So now I open 𝐶_claim. I will say 5. I'll just add the privilege. Just save it. Now we will go back to the access group here. Process app data entry users. Now we save this access group, and now we come here to this operators access group, and you should be able to see the data entry users here. Okay, so we created a fresh access group and we created a fresh role as well. Okay, and then we associated an existing privilege there. Now we need to change this for data entry 1 as well. So if we have an operator, now if you go to the can create 𝐶_claim case privilege, you just refresh it. And it doesn't get refreshed right. If you open it again, you should be able to see the new access role associated to it. If you open it again, see here, it gives you process app data entry users. Right? Now, if I were to log in here now, yeah, so D2. And have the option to create it, right? It's all fine, but say for example I log in as IB1, that is investigator 1. Now if I click on create, you see here it shows him no case types defined, right? So the investigator will not be able to create the case because his job is to investigate the existing cases, whereas the data entry guy has additional privilege of creating the case, right? So now similarly, now we will add a privilege for the manager, okay, to run the reports, which is again a privilege that we will add on to the case there. No, primarily we will add it to the report. So what we will do, we will open an existing report. We have it under report definition, and just say updated on. So we have, let's probably do it at the 𝐿_claim level. Right, so we're just going to repeat the same exercise all over again, no different, but keep in mind that when you're creating privileges and access roles, be really careful, because if you don't do it right, then you can make a lot of errors, and then the problem with access and privilege is that if you make a mistake, it's really difficult to debug and find out, because it would not allow you to run the privilege, and then you would all be doubted. You'll have a lot of doubts and you might get into errors. Right, so if you open the report definition, you will find here under the data access tab, you'll find this thing called as privilege here. So I will say can run report. And let's create this here. So this is to be created at, here this is, now I will create it in a different class. Let's say AIGI claim, one proc work L claim. Okay, or maybe I will create it at the work group level, because then this can be used by all the other reports as well. Okay, ideally you can even create it at the framework level too. So here, because this report definition is at process app level, there is no harm in creating the privilege at the process app rule set. Okay, this is slightly different from the way that it was there for the previous one, because the PY start case, the primary rule was in the framework level. That is why you could not reference something which is above its rule set stack. Alright, now what we will do is we will open the access group for the manager, and then we will associate this privilege to the manager. Manager at the rate AIGI, and we open the process app manager here. Now under this one we have already a privilege called as processing app manager. Now under this one, the same as before, we'll add the class for AIGI. Claim on proc work. We give all the options here. Now there is an option already called as execute reports. Now we can give it 0 for all the operators, but for the other operators, that's also one way in which you can restrict the privilege there. But doing that is going to impact on all the reports. We don't want that, because even this work list that you see here, this is also a report. So even that can break if you show the execute report as 0. Okay. So, but yeah, but if at a higher class you give access, then it shouldn't be a problem. Just know that if you want to restrict a certain report using a certain privilege, this is the way to do it. Okay. So I say can run report. Now if you come back to this privilege again, you will see that it is associated to this process app manager. Now if you just go here and you click action and run, then it should give you an error straight away saying cannot run. See here, no access permission for report. And you can see a vague stack here as well. So remember, a couple of times we did analyze a stack, and this is how the error stack looks like. So if you see here, it very clearly tells you that this is the runtime exception. I think this is for the previous one. Yeah, this is the one for current one. It says during resolving the report definition, no access permission for the report. Right? Now, important thing that you need to understand here. Now we are slowly slipping into system debugging, which is our next topic. So if you take a look at this error stack here, you will find like a lot of com.pega.pega rules. These are like out of the box executed or generated Java code files. You can take a look at the temp location. You can find these rules that the generated Java code. What's important for us is these lines. This is array underscore action, or you see com.pega rules are generated definition. So this shows the activity that is actually giving out the exact error. So it says here array underscore action. There is an activity called as pz get filter from content, and that step 2 is where is the first point for, or the last point for the error stack. So if you trace it below, it says here step 2. This is again called from resolve copy filter step 2. And if you see here again further down, you will find something called as wb run, which is at step 6. Right? So if you see here, if you just easy get filter from content, if you just go and open it here, if you open this activity, the step 2 is what was giving us error. The step 2 apparently the Java step, and which was I think probably trying to do a tools.do action, just trying to run and get some result from a stream, but that was giving us that is where the execution, the internal error or the configuration for the security is done. All right, now yeah, that's just a bit about how to debug. Now coming back to our thing here. Now we will log in as a manager, and let's see if manager is able to run it. We saw that the admin is not able to run it. We got an error clearly. Now if you go to reports here, yeah, see here this is the one. See, manager is able to run the report without any trouble, right? But whereas the admin or anyone else now who can run this report, he will get an error saying that you cannot run the report. Right, now, okay, so then right, so that kind of sums up the exercise for security and privileges. The key concept that you have to understand. So now we will talk a bit about the system debugging and performance. So I think we have done a bit of that in our application. So now if you take a look at this here, this is the clipboard structure that we need to understand here. I think we did come across this. If you open a clipboard, let's probably run a case. Now if you open the clipboard here, you have things called as user pages here. This is the user pages, and again we have data pages here, linked property pages, and system pages. Consider this more like a grouping of all the different page types. So you have here user pages is one set, data pages is another set, linked property pages is another set, and then finally you have system pages. Right? So these are like different groups of clipboard pages. Now if you expand user pages, you will find most of all the editable pages, which is accessible, created by the requester. These are normally this. You see, this is the definition for this. It is sorted alphabetically by page name. So whenever you do a page new activity, you're going to create it under user pages, right? And by default, system also creates a lot of them. And if you see here, these are all created by the system for you, even the Pega page as well. And you will find some declare pages also here. So if there is a data page available here, which it means that it's an editable data page. Okay. So if you say generally, that's what it's supposed to mean. If you say open data page, here it's the edit mode is editable. Okay, so that is again, this is again a common interview question. Why do you see, most people even don't know this actually, why do you see the data pages, some data pages under user pages? Ideally, shouldn't it be coming under this data pages? It comes in the user pages because whether it is editable. If it's a non-editable one, say here like d_attachment list, so open this one, you see here it is read only. Whenever you open any other data page here under the user pages, it will be editable. Simple concept, but good to know feature, right? Now, all the data page is instantiated. Then there is something called as a linked property. What a linked property does is, suppose you have, you have a table. Good way to explain linked property is, okay. So there is a good concept in Pega called as link property. What it does is, the link property is a type of property which, when holds a particular property value, is considered as a key of another class instance. Okay, so what I mean by that is, suppose I create a property called as property A. Okay, and then I say link it, make it as a linked property to a class like data admin operator ID. Okay, so which means that it is going to, so whenever the link property holds a value which is a key to instance of data admin operator ID, then we can get all the information about the data admin operator ID directly. Okay, so let's probably do an exercise around that just to make things a bit more clear. So we're going to do the exercise on link property. So let us create a property called as let's create it here, saying that say for example internal referral name. Suppose, just to make it more business friendly, suppose there is a section, okay, or there is, the scenario is this, that when you're doing the data entry, we can say that this person is referred by an internal person, right, and you're claiming the insurance. So we just give internal referral name as a property, and we go to this create and open. Okay, and I will keep this as text, and then here I'll say automatic reference to a class instance. Okay, so if you see, this is the exact definition of it. It says this property holds the value of a key to an operator ID or anything that is used to prevent data from, that is used to present data from that object anywhere in the system. So let's do this exercise so that it becomes a bit more clear. So currently I link it to data admin operator-id. So now you see by default it has a key to data admin operator ID class py user identifier. Okay, so we save this, and now what we will do is we will go to the records here. Let's open an operator ID and say, for example, let's open the manager. So I give some name like okay, John Smith. Project management, and we save this. Okay, now let's take a look at the py user identifier. How to look at that is just click on view XML here, and this should have the property called as py user identifier. Say py. So I think the UI is not, for some reason it's distorted. You shouldn't be seeing this UI like this, but the operator ID will, the py user identifier is this one here, right? So right now you come, or if you go to the app explorer here, you change this to data admin operator ID. It just opens up the instances here. Alright, now whenever this property internal referral name has the value called as has a py user identifier value, we can automatically get all the other information related to that. So what I mean is, let me just show you that. So if you go to this user interface, enter personal information. Now I will add a basic text input here. And then before that, I think I will even add a button or a checkbox. What the checkbox will do is I will say that, is it an internal referral? So we will give a caption for this one. We will create a property is internal referral. Right? We create this as a true, false, or a boolean property. Right, so I'll say that is this an internal referral case, and under presentation I'll put the caption position to the left, and then here. Now under the actions here, we'll say that add an event. We'll say on click, or on click. We will say post value. Right, so what this will do, this will post the value to the clipboard. Right, and then what we will do here is dot referral name. Now give the give a placeholder name here. Please enter the operator ID details. And here now the important thing here is for the visibility. I will say that I will have a condition expression and then I will say that give the operation dot is internal referral is true. So it says is true is false. Let's say is internal referral is equal to true, and I will say run visibility condition on client. What this will do is this will just instead of doing a refresh section, it will immediately give you the display there itself. Right? Okay, so right, and I think maybe I should give some space here. And yeah. Now the other thing here is, now if you give here the text input, right, for now we will just do just this. Right. Save this. Let's refresh this here. Then if I checkbox this, see here, it gives you the thing immediately. Okay, now I will say this is the PY user identifier. Okay, I think we don't even need data admin operator, we just need to give just this alone, right? And say give some name here. 𝐿 and click next. Now what we will do here is we will get the information about the referrer. Okay, so what we need to do here is, if you go to this next section, now this is the entry policy information. And we will add a layout here. We'll do dynamic layout, and then I will say here the referrer name. I'll say default format. I will give a title for this, display header and title. I'll say I'll give referral details, and again we will have a visibility for this one, and say dot is internal referral is true. Okay, now this doesn't need run visibility condition on client because this is on a completely different screen. Okay, so this has already gone to the server and come back to us, so we don't need a run visibility condition on client for this one, because the checkbox is not in this screen, it's in the previous one. Now here I will add a new, say for example, I will add a new text input here. And mind you, all these link properties are just they are just read-only values. Okay, so now after that it is internal referral name, I will say dot, and this gives me access to all the properties there. Okay, so say for example I will give the PY position. Position or job title or something that was there. So here, this one is what I'm looking at. Position, job title. I want to see what is that value. Just enable UI, and you see here it shows PI position. So right, so we just come back here and we say PY position. About position, job title, and this should be always read only. So even if you don't make it read only, it automatically becomes read only. Or I think it might give you an error. Yeah. So see, I should make it read only by itself. So I will say read only always, and we are good here. Just to make the UI a bit more fancy, you can give it a formatted text, just more like a glorified label. And so I can say dot internal referral name, okay, dot py email address, and then here in the presentation we can have format like, I can give the type here as email. What this would do is this would help a lot if you are in, say for example you're in a mobile, then you just click on email and it automatically tries to open Outlook or something that to send the email. Right? Now let's run, just refresh this here. Can you see that it shows a senior project manager, but I don't think I entered the email ID. Or I think this property is different. It's not py email. I think it's email 1 or something like that. See, py address of email.py email address. So it was a page group. So all that you need to do here is on the policy information, you say py email of just copy this property, right? I click close, I disable live UI, come back to the screen here, and then instead of, right, hit submit. So the key concept that you have to understand is, if I just give the name of the operator ID, then it automatically gives me all the information about that particular operator ID instance in a read-only format, which is kind of saying that you are referencing the foreign key of that particular instance. So say now come back to C-58 here. I just refresh it. So now it gives, and now did you observe that it gives you in a link format here? So now suppose I click on this, then it should, I mean, in here it just opens a Chrome browser for me. But in mobile devices, you click on it and it opens Outlook and things like that, right? So and here, say for example, we can do one more fancy thing. The internal referral name, this we can make it like the data, or here we can make it autocomplete, right? And we will give the source of this from a data page. There should be a data page for d_operator list or something like that. So as you see your operator access group, there should be a data page for operator list here, so that it's easier for us to just pick. So I will say a data page here. So I will just say operator SC. Yeah, I see here my declare underscore my work group operators, or I say declare underscore operator access group. See here there is no proper operator list. Says PZ list. But I think you guys get the concept. We can give that to make it a little bit more fancy, but some other time let's do it. Right? But I think you guys already know how to use a data page to come up in a drop down, so you can do that as a homework. Put it as an autocomplete, and then here it should give up here. Suppose I don't enter that information here. Okay, I uncheck this one. Now I go to the next screen. See here, it doesn't show any information here, right? So it's doesn't have any information here. But I think even the header should not be visible. Let's see here. You see here it shows only body visibility. It's not the title, right? So the title always comes up, or here in order to uncheck that is the container settings. So we will put the same code here and not here. Here we will put the visibility condition here. Right? So now I click submit and come here and we refresh this one. See, that's gone now, right? And yeah, now let's just run it once from an end user UI. See, my manager cannot create a new case tag. Okay, so now I will just log in as DE2, say for example, and we create a car insurance claim, and then I say blah blah. See this internal referral case, yes. Let's say manager, or I don't check anything. Okay, I click next. See if nothing comes up. Go back. I say, oh, here is a referral. My bad. Say manager @IGI. Then I click next. See here it comes up the referral details here. Right. So yeah. That's all with regard to the exercise. Now, coming to the actual point, why we came to this whole concept in the at the onset is we wanted to know about linked property. Okay, so now you open this one here, click next. Now if you open the clipboard here, you will find under this link property, you will find the information about that particular operator instance. So it has fetched all the information that you want, the whole set, right? So yeah, so it just gives you a lot more information than we expected. So it opened up the entire entry, all the information. It just opened the entire object there using the key that we had in our particular property, link property. So if you see here, there should be that. Yeah, this is the only one. So to a developer, we just enter only this, then it goes and fetches automatically all this information, right? So this is the key concept about link property. Right. Now, and after this we have things like system pages. So we saw here under the clipboard, we saw the new linked property that is created by the system because of this option here under data admin operator ID. And you see all this information here. Alright, now you have again something called a system pages. So what this holds is,
I have a
yeah, hold on for a second, just complete this. So now under system pages you will find the standard list of all standard out of the box pages here. Mind you, all these are not editable. So these have information about your application, operator ID, access group, thread. So if you want to develop some advanced code, say for example to download a file from the server, then you can get the server details here under px thread. You see here it shows the base request URI, export request URI. So a lot more information available here, which will give you more information about the system pages. Now we saw what was link property. Now if you want to look at the clipboard, you have two privileges here: clipboard viewer update and clipboard viewer. By default, most the administrator and managers by default have this privilege at the base class, okay, at the base class. If you want to restrict it for someone, you just need to remove this privilege, right? Now we have seen tracer. I think on multiple occasions we have run the tracer and we've seen it. You have an exercise here. Try to figure this out. Okay, you need to run the tracer and figure out where exactly the work object ID is getting set. And there are again two other tools provided by Pega, which say for example there is some issue that you have and you have finished tracing it. Then what happens is the system will if you want to review it later or you want to see it in a summarized format, you have two out-of-the-box tools provided by Pega, and it summarizes the tracer and shows it to you in a more neat way. Right? Now, obviously, UI inspector is another option that is available, which is again with this privilege at the baseclass.px UI inspector. Right, and these are the tracer options. Most of this is pretty self-explanatory. There's a breakpoint, there's a watch option, and all these. So just we will try to use them more in our application. All right, yeah, you can tell me the doubt now.
So earlier in linked property, we got all the information about manager at the rate something. So that was captured in the first screen itself or next screen. As in the next screen, we are referencing that property.
No, it happens immediately. The moment you submit that information to the server, say for example, you go back here. Okay. Now, I changed this to, remember I had done a post value. Okay, so let's take a look. You see here now, we are currently on this case C-58. And we have this information here. Let's see how it behaves. Okay. Why doesn't it show anything now? Clipboard. And we have length property. Did it just go away? What happened here? Let's see. PR page. For some reason, yeah. So basically, yeah, it's not even showing at the post value. Say I enter. Okay, I enter this Right? Now if you open the clipboard, you will not find any reference here, nothing. It says here no values present, even though the PI work page will hold that manager@𝐴𝐼. But the moment you start referencing even a single property of the link property pages, then it automatically references all of the ones from there. It is like not a good design actually. I mean, you should probably advise Pega on a hackathon or something.
Why? Because here we are not giving any specialization for that, right? We are just declared it as property. So, for example, in any property, if you give user@𝐴𝐶, it should access that all the information.
True. But in my system, I need only these two properties. So, but it's probably coming up because it's going and opening the entire blob. Then it makes a sense for the system that rather than if you're opening the entire blob, then there is no point in just getting only two properties. Why not get the whole thing there, right? So that may be the logic behind getting all the information, but this is all right if it is something like data admin operator ID. But in real-time systems, you might have to get some information from a lot of, say, a primary key from instance that has a lot of data around it, like it's heavy data. So if you take a look at this one here, you can analyze the clipboard here. This is just under debugging tool. If you click on analyze here, you can see the clipboard memory allocation here. You can see what is the estimated size for this entire requester. It's around 1.2 MB. Okay, now you can see that let's see if we can see the linked property here page. Apparently it doesn't show the link property. No, it doesn't show it. Let's see. No, it doesn't show the link property here. But assuming, yeah, no, it shows up here. Yeah, link property here. See here, it has fetched for 56 KB, which is pretty small. It's all right for this use case. But assuming that it's huge, then it doesn't make sense to, if there's a heavy attachment to it, then it doesn't make sense to get all the information.
So regarding this memory, I have one doubt. Even I asked earlier as well. So in real-time scenario, for every this kind of thing, it will fetch a lot of things and it will store it in the clipboard. That too, we can have thousands of users. So in that scenario, if it fetch the data and if it is storing in the clipboard, definitely it will be stored in the heap space.
Correct.
In that case, let us say if we have thousands of customers and they are using this, and thousands of records will be fetched and it will store in the heap memory. So for that question, what you have answered earlier is we can have multiple nodes and every node will be having enough memory space.
Correct.
Like 32 GB. So in that case, this is kind of drawback for Pega, right? Same thing we can achieve in Java, but Java development time will be more than Pega. But here, architecture-wise and infrastructure-wise, Pega is having some drawbacks as well, right? Is the drawback or not?
Tell me how you will solve it in Java.
No, in Java, I don't get these kind of data, complete data, right? Here, they are using blobs and they are getting, instead of hitting database multiple times, they are getting all the data and they are storing in the clipboard. But in Java, we don't need it.
See, at the end of the day, even if you take any other Java application, you are never going to have, in an enterprise grade Java application, you're never going to have all the information as separate database columns. You're always going to have it as a blob, blob or clob or any of the compression methodologies. So even there, you are going to have the same problems, that you are going to go and fetch the entire blob and push it to your clipboard or your memory space. You're never going to go there and just get only the relevant information. I hope you understand what I'm getting at. Even in Java, you will face the same problem, because this is not a limitation with Pega. It's a limitation of the fact that at the database end, you cannot have millions of columns or hundreds of thousands of columns. You cannot, because at that point, then the database itself cannot support it. So you have to put something inside a compressed format, and here it's a blob. In other technologies, in I think nowadays I think we have something as flat files. This is like in NoSQL database technologies. So you will have everything like in a JSON format, and you will get all the information from there. So instead of a blob, you will have it as a flat file, and you will get all the information from there. But even then, when you get all the information, you have to keep it here on the clipboard. Or let's not use the word clipboard. It will be there as a JVM object. So I don't think that it's a drawback with Pega. It's a limitation with the system that you have to get all the information that is once you expose it, you have to get all the information that you need. But what Pega could do better is, suppose it goes to the DB and it sees that it's an exposed column. Say, for example, here itself, when I'm trying to get a link property here, suppose it sees that there is at least the property that I'm requesting as an exposed column, then there is no need for Pega to go and open the blob completely, right? So suppose I wanted to get the P by email address, or I wanted to get the P by position. So if the P by position is an exposed column, then Pega should be smart enough to get only that and not the entire blob. But that is how Pega does it for a report definition. Suppose you run a report definition, then if it is an exposed column, it fetches only that information. But if it is not an exposed column, then it fetches the whole thing. And this is how they've improved on report definition performance with respect to list views. List view was an older rule. What that list view does is it will go and get the whole information about the blob. If you're trying to fetch a already exposed column, but in report definition, it will get only that column. It will not get the whole blob. So I think they're aware of that, and probably they have some stories around it. But yeah, that's definitely an improvement that Pega should do.
Okay. And one more doubt. Here we have request a scope, thread scope, and can you once? So what is the scope of this data, or can you just explain those things? Till what time it will be available in the clipboard memory?
Which data? You mean this linked page or general data objects?
General data objects.
So general data objects, ideally, there are a couple of things here. In earlier versions of Pega, what used to happen is the moment you click on this cross tab, right, it automatically used to run an activity called as remove thread. Okay, so this activity used to be run. What that will do is, you go to this Java and you see here, it removes the entire thread. Okay, and when it removes the entire thread, all the clipboard objects in that particular thread will be cleaned. We see here, this is the API that was called. It says tools.get thread get requested dot remove inactive thread, right? So it removes the entire thread and it cleans it up, right? But of late, Pega realized that whenever you click on close, running this activity, they found it to be more resource intensive to clean it up. Instead, now what they do is they don't clean it up. They keep that object there for some time, and after say about some X number of minutes, which is internal to Pega, they just run I think they have some agent to clean that up. Basically, once the object is not there, it's not going to be cleaned up by Pega. They expect the garbage collector to clean it up, or I think they have an internal agent that does the cleaning up. But the key concept is it doesn't get cleaned up immediately, which used to happen in older versions of Pega. Now it does not happen. So actually, we had like a big production problem because of this change in Pega's behavior from 6.x to 7.x. So what happened was, because this object was not available, we had written some custom code to run some things around it, and that kind of broke created a lot of problems around that. So yeah, let's talk about it sometime later. But key concept to your key answer to your question is, when does it get cleaned up? It does not get cleaned up immediately once you close the object. Okay, it will still remain in the stale and the clipboard or the JVM heap space until the garbage collector cleans it up, or an internal Pega API, I think, agent called as, I think, system cleaner or something like that. There is one by that name. So once till that runs, it keeps it active.
Yeah, this is about thread level.
Yeah,
the same way we have request level and node level also.
Yeah, true. And no, this is for the entire thread associated to that particular requester. So see, where is the actual clipboard page residing in? It's residing inside a thread, right? Now, whether that clipboard page is accessible to multiple threads or not, that is a different question altogether. Now, if I have a page here like this, all attachments, okay, this is residing inside this thread, and this will be cleaned off completely by the when the thread is cleared off, this page will be also cleared off. Okay, now if I have a page which is at say at node level, okay, now that does not get cleared off until this node and requester level threads. This requester level thread will get cleared off once a person logs off. Okay, and which internally means that all the pages under this requester list is also cleared off. Now the node will continue to remain there. I think it's pushed to the _permgen space and not the heap space. That we might want to cross check. I don't think Pega has given the information externally. I think it is available not at the heap. It will be at the _permgen space. So it will be available throughout. Like it's not cleared off once a person logs off. So to answer your question, the normal clipboard pages will be cleared off by the system automatically once you close the work object. Okay, maybe after some time, not immediately though. By virtue of this, remove inactive thread, remove that activity on this API here, right? So similarly, for the requester and node level information, requester will be cleared off once a person logs off. Node level will not be cleared unless you go for a complete system restart, or you explicitly want to remove it off. So you have some Pega APIs to explicitly remove it if you want to get more space. Otherwise, Pega does not automatically clear it off. So for that, you have an activity called as px flush declarative page. Hold on. The name is not px, I think it's just flush declarative. Yeah, flush declarative page. So unless you invoke this one, it will not clear it off. And it just says that dot flush page. That's it. Does it answer your query?
Yes. So now I can relate this with Java, how Java is better. In Java, we can create object, and once we are done with the functionality, we can remove the object in the code itself, in the catch block or somewhere else.
Hold on. No, I don't completely agree with you. In Java, you would, in the final block or in the catch condition, you don't remove the object explicitly. Remember, you make it null, right? You make the reference null. That is not same as deleting it. That's wrong. It's not deleting it.
But data is...
Yeah, correct. You are removing the data, but the object still remains.
That objects will be taken care by garbage collector. If it is null, it will keep.
Yeah, no, there is a difference there also. It doesn't delete the data. it gives the pointer as null, right? The object reference is made as null. It does not remove the data. So the data still remains there for the garbage collector to clean up. Isn't that the same that's happening here also?
Yeah, but here when we close, then only it is happening. Anyway, both are same.
Yeah, so it's almost the same. There may be, you can obviously fine tune more in Java, but even in Java also, when you make it null, you are not removing the data. You are just making the reference, the internal reference of the memory allocator pointer as null. That's it. And you wait for the garbage collector to clean up later. So they have also, Pega's also applied the same concepts only. At the end of the day, it's a Java application. So they have tried to adopt much of that. But yeah, as performance wise, definitely Java is only better any day. Yeah, correct. Yeah, so I think so that also made a point. Yeah, she's right and say that yes, garbage collection run at JVM's condition, but not at user control. We can just signal GC, but cannot force the clearance. Exactly.
Yes.
You can only signal the GC. You cannot force it. So same thing here. When you close it, you're basically considered more like you're signaling the GC here. That you're not or internal Pega signal. I am assuming, yeah, almost the same, right?
I have one more doubt that is not related to this. In the clipboard, for example, if we use any page in the activity, directly that page will be showing under user pages. The same way, if we have any declare editable pages, that will be showing with that name. But in few cases, if we do not have any page name, it will show as primary. It means run underscore that file name it will show. But in few cases, we have to go to rh- some other pages to check our properties like that. In which scenarios we have to go that kind of pages?
No, that actually, if you are I think that's when you're trying to implement on Pega. Say, for example, what I'm trying to say is you say action, okay, here, and you want to preview this, okay. Now this will run on a thread by default. It will be like something rh underscore, something like that. Wait. It will be, say this one. Yeah, it's either new or RH something it will come. That is because, yeah, so if you see here, you should, that comes up, I've seen that. Actually, when you're trying to develop applications on Pega, you don't need it. When you're trying to build a rule and all that, that's when you will see that. I'll tell you where that comes. Say, for example, you open an activity here. Okay, now that RH thing comes, okay, yeah, you see here now this gives the information about the rule. That is when you see RH underscore 1. See here, when you want to view the information in the rule, that is all available under a clipboard page. Same way you have PY work page, which gives you information about a work object. RH underscore 1 is like considered more like a Pega internal stuff, which gives you information about the rule. Right, so you see here it gives the name of the rule, 𝐏𝐸𝐴𝐻, then it gives it gives Java class name that is generated Java code name. You don't need this if you're going to develop application. Yeah, it's completely rule specific. See in the number of steps, it's inside this one. See here it will be PY step of 1, 2, 3, which is all the step in the activity. You see the 5 steps of that. It says you see step 5 is RDB open. Maybe yeah, you see step 5 is RDB open. Step 1 is page new. So if you see here, it's this rule specific. See here it shows. Now when you want to play around with that, then you go to RH underscore 1.
Yeah. Thank you.
Consider it more like parallel to PI work page of work object. That's it. Okay, all right. I think that's all for today, guys. I will upload the video in some time. Please do the exercises without fail.
Rahul, I have a issue with report definition, joint condition. I mean, is it okay if you have time? Can you please have a look at it?
Yeah, I can make it a presenter now. Yeah, the rest of you folks, if you want, you can log off. The session is over.
Can you see my machine?
Yeah, you can see that.
Yeah, this part I know that you explained it, but I forgot what happened on the day. You told that the class prefix cannot be more than one character. That I got, but I don't know what I
I think it
missed
should
to.
be wait, it should be a okay, go to the third column there. Yeah, and just type A and then just put dot.
Yeah.
Then remove the dot and just say give the first property just for the heck of it. Just give the elapsed customer rack. Or just put your customer name or something. Now save it.
Okay, but in this case, this is going to be the current class's property, right?
Hold on.
Also, here I'm not able to give the cover of the joint class. Only the current class I'm able to.
Yeah, just hold on. Let it save. I just want to see something there. I think it's now stuck. You should let Pega take its time. You should not press multiple buttons at the same time. So. Okay. Yeah. So we have the error again. Yeah. So oh no, error is gone. Okay, for some weird reason. No. Now it directly. Okay, it gave the property of that. Now let's click on the edit conditions and go to the data access. There's a problem in the data access. Go to the edit condition.
Yeah.
Now here you have to give A here. A dot 𝐏𝐸𝐾 is equal to.
But it's not agreeing to that. When I prefix it with A, this is coming here, but if I submit, it's saying this is not a valid property for this.
Or was it? Hold on. I think. Let me see this. In my application also, did we get this left hand side or right hand side? Hold on. Give me a second. I think it should be on the left. All right, there was. Hold on, give me a second. I'm just checking it in my system. Give me a second. Oh, the other side, huh?
Yeah, that was, if I interchange it worked, but I'm not able to give.
No, now you should be able to give here also. No, you should be able to give it here also now. Let's try it.
Oh, is it? Okay. Rahul, should I log off and log in again? And it's taking so long.
Hello, Sudha.
Yeah, Rahul, some problem happened. I don't know. It's taking so long.
Yeah,
The problem is solved, but
no, if you see my system here, can you see my screen? This is the 𝐿_𝐶lean case ID here, okay? So, now if I look at the data access here, I say from my 𝐶lean I'm joining to the 𝐿_𝐶lean. So only include matching rows, and on the edit conditions I give a.pxcover_key is equal to pz_key.
okay.
You also give this only, right?
I think I interchanged. I did this one. Yeah, initially I did this. Now I interchanged. I put pz_key in this side and pxcover_key on that side.
I don't know
Just
why
now
is it. I saw the same thing only at your end. Query error.a.pyd. You're on which version of Pega? 718, is it?
718, yeah.
Maybe some bug in 718. Yeah, this should work. This is correct. Could be some bug there. Let's just search in PDN once. You do the reverse. What you did, initial configuration is correct only. Maybe a bug there. You see here now here for me, choose it correctly. Okay.
Okay.
We will check in Pega. Just search once in PDN. I think there may be a bug. Okay.
Okay. That I'll try and I'll let you know tomorrow if it is okay.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Rahul. Yeah. Thanks.
Okay. No problem. Good day.
Good day. Have a good day.